I've seen so many people rush out the door to a budget garden shed, only to end up with a leaky box that rots their lawnmower the moment a summer thunderstorm rolls in. The regret isn't just about wasted money, it's the extra hassle of finding a place to keep the tools you just bought, the time spent shuffling items around, and the constant worry that your equipment will get damaged. That's why I spent a solid weekend walking through a few local hardware stores, reading the handful of reviews that actually exist, and measuring the space in my own backyard before I even thought about buying the LKJVFCPW large outdoor garden shed. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest question any backyard owner asks is, will this thing actually protect my stuff? The shed's heavy-duty galvanized steel frame is its core selling point. Galvanization helps keep rust at bay for years, even when the shed sits under a humid sky for months on end. In real-world terms, that means if you store a gasoline-powered lawnmower or a pool pump inside, you won't have to worry about the metal walls turning orange and flaking away. The steel also gives the structure a solid feel when you open the sliding gate. No wobble, no shaking, just a smooth glide that feels sturdier than the cheap plastic-covered kits you often see on yard sale listings. The interior dimensions roughly 75.6 inches long, 40.2 inches wide, and 87.8 inches high translate to more than 100 cubic feet of space. In practice, that's enough room for an average-sized riding mower, a couple of gardening tool sets, a bag of firewood, and still leaves a clear pathway for you to maneuver. I tried setting up a typical weekend scenario. I pushed my gas mower in, tucked a wheelbarrow along one wall, and stacked a few lawn chairs against the opposite side. With the gate closed, there's still a comfortable headroom to stand upright and reach the back shelves without crouching. That kind of spaciousness is a real advantage if you've got multiple pieces of equipment or just want to keep seasonal core out of sight. Ventilation is often overlooked until you notice the musty smell that can develop after a rainy season. This shed comes with integrated ventilation slats strategically placed near the roofline. In a test run, after a light rain, the interior stayed dry and the air didn't feel stagnant. The slats allow a gentle breeze to flow through, which helps dry out any moisture that might collect on wet tools. For people who store lawnmowers with oil or pool filters that tend to emit a faint odor, that passive airflow can actually keep the interior from turning sour over the months. The slide gate design is another practical detail that sets this model apart from the more common swing door options. Because the gate slides along a track instead of swinging outward, you never have to worry about it hitting a wall, tree, or car when you're loading a bulky mower. The ergonomic handle gives a good grip even when your hands are dirty or sweaty, a small tweak, but one that makes opening and closing feel effortless after a day of digging. The downside, however, is that the sliding mechanism can get snagged if you store very tall items that extend into the gate's path. In my setup, the top of the mower's handle nearly brushed the bottom of the gate, so I had to adjust the position a few inches to avoid any rubbing. If you plan to keep very tall equipment, you'll need to be mindful of the gate's travel range. Aesthetically, the light gray finish blends nicely with most backyard palettes, from rustic wooden fences to modern patio tiles. It's far more neutral than the bright green or red sheds that scream DIY. The powder-coated surface also adds an extra layer of protection against UV fading, so the shed won't turn chalky after a summer of sun exposure. That said, the color can show dust and pollen more quickly than darker shades, which means the exterior will need a quick wipe down now and then if you're a stickler for a pristine look. Now, who should seriously consider this shed? First, homeowners with a medium-sized yard who need a dedicated, weatherproof space for a mix of lawn, garden, and pool equipment will find value here. It's also a good fit for hobby gardeners who keep a variety of tools, seed trays, and soil bags and want to keep them organized away from kids or pets. If you have a riding mower, a small ATV, or a pool pump, the internal volume and the sturdy steel construction make this shed a sensible set-and-forget storage solution. On the flip side, if you're renting a property and can't make permanent alterations, this shed may not be the best choice because it's a sizable permanent structure. The same goes for anyone who lives in an extremely small balcony or patio where a 75-inch length would dominate the space. Also, if your primary need is to store just a few hand tools, a minished or